What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Today we are going to be doing a deep dive into the recent Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart gameplay demo that just launched. Got to watch through it the first time and just give my initial reactions to everything that I was seeing, but there was so much that we saw and even more that we may have missed. So we're gonna jump in, we're gonna do frame by frame, see, go through the whole thing and hopefully catch a lot of things, because there was a lot that I did notice that I didn't get to comment on that is coming back from previous Ratchet and Clanks, little nods and little secret Easter eggs and things like that. So let's fully analyze this trailer together. But before we do that, go ahead and sit back, relax, grab some snacks. Let's do this. I guess we'll go no sound. We really want to see, we just want to analyze what we see. Okay. So first off, we got to talk about this, right? Gadget bots are returning. Gadget bots hopefully confirmed via this image that we're seeing here at the start of the gameplay trailer. I mean, if you guys know anything about Ratchet and Clank, you know that the gadget bots have always been kind of a staple in the series. Ratchet used to work on them. They or used to come across them, actually, I should say. In his journey, they gave you little bits of information as to what the villain's plans were, a hoverboard contest, new information on planets that might need help or things that could be interesting for their story. So they always kind of provided a little bit of a kind of a path for which we would follow throughout the story. So I'm curious by seeing them, what that's going to potentially provide in the story and how they're going to play a role. It's very interesting, because the gadget bots have always kind of been, more informative, more if anything. So it's going to be interesting to see the role that they play, because given the SSD and what they're talking about with little to no load screens and things like that, I wonder if there's even going to be, planets, or like how that's going to work. Maybe maybe you'll jump into a rift and that'll just take you to whatever planet you want to go to next. It'll be very interesting. But the gadget bots, I feel like, are still going to play a critical role. Okay. We continue to see Clank. Clank, for some reason, still is missing an arm. I don't know if that's a running joke. But here, we'll back it up a little bit. Hold on. We see the bionic arm. I'm wondering if we'll get a little bit of insight to that. For the villains here, there is, I don't know, they seem like new villains. Like, I don't remember facing these kind of bug creatures in the other games. You see the image here is clearly a, I don't know, some sort of centipede, some sort of tank. I don't know what do you guys make of this? This is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's something that we're going to potentially fight. I could see it being one of the aerial combat kind of sequences where we fight these things in aerial combat. They did mention something like that. We'll definitely get to that. But we're just going to keep going here, because there's just so much for us to really take in. We saw this sequence at the end of the gameplay trailer that they revealed earlier this week. So great start. We're seeing more of the rifts. More of the rifts are going to play. The rifts are going to play a huge role. I feel like they're going to be the entire moment of the game. Not necessarily sure what this city is. I think this is the alternate universe where they talked about the Nefarious City or something like that. I wonder if, since it is different dimensions, I'm wondering if we'll be encountering this city in Ratchet's time, just maybe a lot lighter. This seems to be like the dark side of the moon, or if you guys are fans of like Stranger Things, maybe this is like the upside down is what I keep picturing it as. Still very interesting. Sprawling life, sprawling cities, beautiful, engaging environments. And I feel like this is just a city area. I can't wait to see what they do with more open spaces where they can really take advantage of the graphics, the greenery, things like that. But we see Ratchet without Clank finally catches a glimpse of Rivet, or I believe that was Rivet. And I don't know if you guys noticed this. There is a little, like the little green screen on the bottom left is very similar to the pixelizer, which they did, I believe they did mention is coming back. I don't know if it's a pre-order bonus only, or if that's going to be something that's going to be given to people later in the game who didn't pre-order. But definitely worth pre-ordering if you haven't played with the pixelizer. It's a really cool weapon. Really cool weapon. Kind of makes everybody, all the enemies turn into like 8-bit blocks and stuff. It's pretty cool. But I did notice that. Let's see, we'll take a little bit more. Checking out things. I mean, take a look at the lighting here. Just the lighting between the vents at the top left, the light shading off of the crates. I mean, it's absolutely stunning what they've been able to do with this game. And even as the game pans to the left here, you see that there's cars. Like, it feels like you are really traversing through the middle of everything. Whereas in other games, like specifically in Ratchet 2016, the remake, there was a lot of like the cities themselves were underneath everything. So it didn't feel like you were really, I don't know, looking at this now, it didn't feel like you were really a part of the city. It felt like the city was there, but you were kind of on your own path in the level, if that makes any sense. Another thing that we see here, Ratchet tosses up his wrench, and I'm wondering, do you guys think, what are we speculating here? Are we thinking, you know, emotes? Like, are there going to be emotes? I don't see how that would be very important. Or is it just, you guys think it's two, maybe just different animations that Ratchet will be able to do when he's idle, you know? That could be, but if there are emotes, that'd be kind of cool. I don't know. Unnecessary, but still cool. Still cool. But let's see, what else can we see? So we can see the UI looks a little bit different. And if you guys are familiar with older Ratchet and Clanks, nanotech was always the way that you got health. And I do believe nanotech is still returning based on what we've seen. However, just the general layout of the UI seems to be different. I like it. It definitely seems more modern, more futuristic, I guess. But I do miss seeing the nanotech orbs that used to hover over top. But hey, I'll take this. We see that there's bolts. From this image alone, we can see that raritanium has been confirmed. Raritanium will be coming back. You can see XP on both sides, which we've already seen in very early trailers earlier this year. But there will be XP, obviously, for increasing your overall HP, your overall health. But it looks like on the right side, we can see that there's XP for your weapon. So it'll be cool that whatever weapon you have has kind of a way to see how it's ranking up. And I believe that the 2, this is just a guess, but I can assume that the 2 is the level of the weapon. Typically in older Ratchet and Clank's weapons would go up to rank, I don't know, 2, rank 5, rank 10, something like that. So I'm sure we can see something very similar here as well. Once again, checking out the lighting. The game just looks stunning. Ratchet's fur glistening off the light below him. Like, it's incredible what they've been able to do. Here we can see, I know this isn't a big thing, but we can see that the wrench like things to open doors are returning as well. Not a big thing, like I said, but it's still something I expect. You always expect these little puzzles and things that Ratchet's going to have to do with this wrench, because at heart, Lombax are crafty engineers. So we can expect to see, a lot of that being centered. And this is a moment I want to pause and take a moment to check out, because we can clearly see here the true power of the PlayStation 5, and what Insomniac is really trying to do is push the graphical fidelity of this game to the limits. Just being able to see all of these cars move and the city and the lights and the shading, it really highlights just how powerful these next gen consoles are, and put it into the right hands of the right developers, we're going to see some truly special gameplay happening here. So some nice looking robots here. Even the robot the robot diversity feels a lot more expansive than we've seen in the past. Now, granted, we are dealing with incredibly powerful hardware, but I want to take a look at this. Check this out, guys. So one thing that I mentioned at the end of my last video that you guys may have noticed that I find to be very interesting is that this Ratchet and Clank, it seems that they have elevated things to the point where you don't technically need Clank, because in older Ratchet and Clanks, you needed Clank to get around or to be mobile and things. But it looks like they're trying to make Ratchet still feel, mobile, still feel fluid, especially in fighting sequences where he's not going to have Clank. And to be able to have these like jetpack boots and things is a big plus. Personally, for me, I hated how like slow Ratchet felt when he didn't have Clank on his back. I like how they're changing that. Fun fact, this character actually was a villain, was a bad guy in Ratchet and Clank 2016. So it's cool to see that they brought her back, and they brought her back as a character that is kind of a smuggler, if you will. She's a part of helping this resistance, which is in the dimension of Rivet, and she's helping you kind of, you know, procure weapons for you. So I'm sure we'll be seeing her quite a bit throughout the game. We'll fast forward here a little bit. We see Clank for the first time. We see Rivet, but we also see here as well. I'll even pause it. Check this out. So we see her using the blaster. Then this is the same blaster that Ratchet gets, which is leaving me to believe, and help me out, guys. Let me know if I'm crazy in assuming this, that there's going to be a little bit of cross progression here. I don't know about you, but I cannot stand when games have you control different characters and then you have to almost rank the same things up multiple times. It just drives me insane. It's something that I feel like is such a minor thing, but makes the gameplay experience feel like you are still controlling one story. Even if you're playing as two different characters, they both have their different stories. The fact that you're being able to hopefully have some cross progression with weapons and have the same weapons between each character is going to be a real big plus, even if they are on different paths. Fast forwarding over, so we get a little bit of information as to the next point. We get some comedy here. We see that, you know, Ratchet and Clank is still very ripe with the comedy. The comedic humor is still there, the lightheartedness. I'm really excited to see what they do. We didn't get a lot of look at the weapons, but I'm hoping that there is a lot of that they're bringing back the detail that they had with weapon descriptions. Weapon descriptions have always kind of been very comedic and humorous in the way that these weapons are described and how they'll destroy the enemies and things like that. So I'm hoping they bring that back as well. But moving on, we have Raritanium. If you didn't see it before in the menu, you see it now. Raritanium is coming back, and it is, at least in Ratchet 2016, it was a way that we would upgrade our weapons. So based on what I remember, we didn't see a lot of descriptions about weapon upgrading and things like that. I'm sure they're still keeping that very close to the chest. They don't want to give everything away, but I could assume that with Raritanium, it's going to be used for some sort of upgrading purposes. Moving on. Here's a big thing too. Wall running confirmed. Now, wall running may not seem like a big thing to many. However, this once again continues to spell out the idea that Insomniac really wants you to feel fluid. They want you to feel mobile, and the ability to do that even without Clank is so key, because I was very much worried about how Ratchet was going to be able to move around his environment, fight enemies and things like that without Clank. So we've confirmed we've got the boots, and these boots seem to also be helpful in getting Ratchet across the environments. So that's going to be a real big key thing, being able to move around the environment so fluidly with this kind of, like, I don't know what that is. Like, what do you guys think this is? It's like, is this some sort of ability, some new ability, like dashing between environments? I don't know. Either way, I'm here for it. This is a big plus. Moving on, you can see very diverse environments. No matter where you go, it seems like there's something always happening between enemies and civilians, moving between the environments. Here as well, you can see the, I forgot what these are called, but they're basically just like slingshot points that you could slingshot to between environments and things like that. I love these things. It just continues to spell like this is the Ratchet and Clank we know. It's the Ratchet and Clank we love. They're changing some things, upgrading some things, but at the same time, you're still getting a lot of nostalgia here for anybody that is familiar with the series. So it looks like we got some sort of bathhouse or something. This is very interesting. We get our first glimpses at combat, a mysterious character that I believe this is Dr. Nefarious, but obviously, as you can see here, he is a lot more capable. He is a lot more villainous in this, you know, reality that we find ourselves in. We continue to move on from there. Like I said, we get our first glimpses of combat here. And we can see that things haven't changed completely. Like, we still got good combat. The traversal is definitely improved. As Ratchet fights, you can see that his dodging is just so clean. Like, before you could just do flips and stuff. I was moving around all over the place. But the fact that you can do like these zippy moves, it just kind of, it feels like something I'm not gonna get used to, and I like that. Like, it's not something I'm gonna get bored with by the end of the game, and I'm definitely here for that. We see our first image here as well. We've seen this in previous trailers of Ratchet's ability to traverse between dimensions. So he takes these random rifts and he is able to get from one side to the other seamlessly. And I feel like much of this is possible because of the impact of the SSD, the new hardware from the PlayStation 5 is allowing for what feels like completely new gameplay experiences. And I'm here for that. I also like these boxers here. These boxers are pretty cool. Their arms, or the balls on their arms, very much symbolize a weapon from Ratchet & Clank 2016. I forgot what it was called, but you'd shoot it out and it would basically explode with these like electrical bursts. Makes me wonder if those are coming back, or if these are just like Rock'em Sock'em Robot types. I don't know. Moving on. Here we go. So continuing the traversal, we see Dr. Nefarious is still very much villainous here, going between points. They're really highlighting the mobility here. But one thing they talked about during the combat sequences, was the ability for you to control the adaptive triggers to create certain types of firing rates. So with the blaster, you could hold it softly to shoot single fire shots, or you could hold it, you could really press down on the trigger and be able to shoot like more rapid fire, more almost full auto, I think. So I can't tell you enough how putting that ability in the hands of the right developers who really know how to use that is going to truly change the game of how we experience things. And having this ability in our hands is going to be absolutely incredible. So we see what appears to be our first mini boss. And we've seen these in previous Ratchet & Clanks. This isn't necessarily anything new. Definitely different enemy type. But still very, very interesting. Also, something we see here is we get a glimpse more of the weapons. I really like that blaster. One thing I'm hoping about the weapons is in previous Ratchet & Clanks, you were able to upgrade your weapons, which allowed you to, you could completely change the look of the weapon. It would fully upgrade once you reach max rank. And it was not only more powerful, but I just love the detail that they put into making these weapons look like it was completely something new. I don't know if they're going to do that again, or if it's just going to upgrade and have a new name and new abilities, but still something to look out for. We move on from there to see that Ratchet gets pulled into a rift unexpectedly, which with the power of the SSD completely rids it of any sort of load time, which I think is incredible. Like, I gotta stop this for a second. That is absolutely incredible. The ability to be able to go and have a boss fight in different worlds and different environments without any sort of load time. It's a game changer. It's a game changer. Again, seeing here on the right, or in the general area, we see there's a whole new area, still fighting the same boss. Like I said, I don't know how that's going to play in, if this is a part of that world, or if it's just a random sequence that they're trying to do to show off the power of the SSD, but still something very interesting. On the right side, you'll see that some of these like snake creatures, they're like, I don't know, alligator creatures are returning. Used to see these are a previous enemy type in Ratchet & Clank. I never liked them, but they're, they look like fun pets, And again, we fast forward here, playing as Rivet. Seems like playing as Rivet is going to be a vital part of the gameplay. And I don't know, I'm sure that these two are going to come together and it's going to be a trio. Maybe they're going to all fight together. I'm very interested to see how that plays out. But taking what we were talking about in the environments and how the lighting and everything, and how beautiful this game looks. We go from a very dark Dr. Nefarious, like controlled city, very dark, very grim, very purple, to something that is so green, light orange, like vibrant colors. It feels like this game is going to be very diverse in its environments, and I'm very excited to see what they do here. Even the grass looks good. Like, guaranteed during my playthrough of this series, like, we're going to be stopping a lot just to really appreciate how much detail Insomniac has put into creating these environments and making them feel alive and vibrant. Like, something very, very exciting to look forward to. We see that different from Ratchet, Rivet uses a hammer, which I'm sure will control more or less the same, but I'm still very interested to see what they're going to do with, like, what abilities the hammer might have that the wrench doesn't. So that's going to be kind of cool. I hope we get a little bit of more backstory on her, how she lost her arm, or if that's just a part of the design. I wouldn't be mad if they don't go into it, but I feel like they should just, explain it a little bit, why she has like a robotic arm, or if it's just to control the hammer. It's kind of cool. I get some Thor vibes here. And speaking here, we get our first look at the vendor, who will be the robot, who I'm sure will be the vendor throughout much of the game. And we get a look at some of the weapons. We can see some returning favorites, like the burst pistol is more or less kind of your typical blaster that we've seen in almost every game, even going back to Ratchet & Clank 2001. You always had a trusty blaster. But we also have the Enforcer, which is kind of, I think, like the shotgun. We also have the Shatter Bomb, which is more or less your typical starting out weapon, your throw-up grenade. So we'll see some returning classics here. Maybe name something different, but still, if you guys are familiar with the series, you know some of these weapons are tried and true. They're loved. They're great to start with. And I'm sure that this is just some of the weapons that we'll be getting. Looking at the menu, I like how modern it looks, but there is an upgrade tab. So upgrading is confirmed. We'll be returning as an ability, as a method to be able to upgrade our gear. So I'm very excited for that. And then we also see the classic descriptions. Why scour the dimensions for ammunition when you can just buy it? You're a well-to-do Lombax with a taste for the finer things. Instantly refills health and all weapon ammo. So I feel like, I find that to be very comedic, that they're bringing a little bit of personality. If we go on from there, we can see the topiary sprinkler, which I'm excited. We got some stats, stun, speed, power, range. And this is stuff, they go through the menu really quickly, so it's easy to miss some of these things. And they ask, have you ever wondered if your enemies would look better as tasteful garden sculptures of the unmoving variety? Wonder no more. So we can definitely confirm that there will be some sort of comedic descriptions on some of these things. We see the Shatter Bomb, we see Mr. Fungi attacks enemies and potentially distracts them. So good stuff. And then the Negatron Collider charges up to fire a beam that will go through multiple enemies. That's going to be nasty. It's going to be nasty, y'all. The weapons have always been kind of the shining stars of the series. And I'm excited to see them come back. We use our bolts. Looks like we're going to use our bolts to upgrade or to buy weapons. Probably use our raritanium to upgrade them. But look at the sprawling environments, guys. Holy smokes. And in this sequence, they describe the impact of the adaptive triggers as well. So you're throwing your weapon or your item, which is the topiary sprinkler, which looks like it like freezes the enemies or turns them into sap or something like that. But they describe it as like as you're trying to charge it up to throw it, like there's feedback and there's like resistance there. So you have to push a little bit harder. And I just like how they're doing that. I think that, I hope it doesn't get annoying to be able to do that, but I feel like it is, it brings a little bit more realism to the game and puts it kind of right in your hands. So I'm very excited for. Now this purple rift they describe as like I don't know what they call it, a mini rift or something like that, a pocket dimension. Well, these pocket dimensions, I'm not sure what they're going to do. Maybe little side areas that'll give you more bolts, more, I don't know. We didn't get a lot of information about these. We go through them a little bit, but I'm wondering if it's just another area to traverse through, or if there's going to be some secrets that we can uncover. Maybe pocket dimensions will be hidden and we have to find them in these bigger worlds that we'll be experiencing or traversing through. But I'm really excited to see what they do with that. But we see that there's here as well. We see that there's some mobile combat or some mobile traversal. We'll be getting these things. This begs an interesting question. Will we be seeing hoverboard races? They haven't mentioned anything about them. I wouldn't expect that they would, but I would be surprised if there's some sort of like hoverboard race thing. Even if it isn't hoverboards and it's this, maybe you're doing a race in a city or something like that to get bolts and stuff like that. I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that makes a return as well. And this kind of gives me some hope that could potentially be a thing. As it would be an additional way that they could give you an opportunity to traverse the world, to explore, to get around, and it could just be a little fun. I like the side quests that they throw into the games as well. I'm not sure if there's going to be side quests, but it'd be cool if there was, you know, in the older Ratchet and Clanks, there were side quest-ish kind of things that you could do, but not necessarily like full-on side quests. They were just go do this, go collect these things, and they were usually pretty quick. But I'd love to see more like without any sort of what do you call it? Without any sort of major load times. I'd love for some quests to take you to different areas, different planets, different dimensions, and have you go do a multi-step quest or something. I'd love to see that, because I want to dive more into the game. You know what I mean? I just want to be fully invested. And we see the new enemy type, which is very reminiscent of enemies that we've seen in the past. Very funny, these alligator creatures. These, I don't know. I wanted to take a moment to talk about these things. These things look like, I don't know what they're called. They're reminiscent of Teletubbies, I guess, like smaller Teletubbies, but I don't feel like that's correct. There's another kind of smaller toy, like Gremlins or something. I don't know. They're cute though. They're cute. I like them. We get to see a little bit more combat here. We go into, they go into talking about how using like the shatter bomb feels more powerful. You'll feel the explosions in your hands. You'll feel the impact of the explosion, which is just gonna, like I said, bring more realism to the game and what that feels like. Here as well, we see the pups. The pups are returning. I know they're not nice and they're here to kill you, but I love them. I love the pups. Little robot pups. They come and try to bite you. But they were always fun. They were always fun to fight against. I always loved them. And like I said, we don't need to mention this, but bolts are returning. The combat looks good. It looks like it's going to feel great with that addition of adaptive triggers, bringing about like more realism. This is an interesting gun that we take a look at as well. It's kind of like, I think this is the one that they talked about that shoots beams through enemies. I don't even know what to describe it as. It's not a sniper, but it's definitely not a shotgun either. So it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to bring some interesting gameplay elements to the game. So continuing on here, I got to talk about this. We get, it looks like there's going to be big worlds for us to explore. And we get skates. We get freaking skates, guys. Like, this is insane. Absolutely insane. We get skates. Going to be able to traverse the world. Looks like there's going to be big open world sprawling environments for us to explore. It's not going to be as linear as it was. I didn't mind the linear environments in previous Ratchet and Clanks, but I was hoping that if they ever came out with one full from the ground up, full next gen, that there would be some open areas for us to really like sink our teeth into. Looks like there's going to be sequences where we get to play as Clank. That's going to be back. I hope those are more interesting. I hate to say it. I was never that much of a fan of the Clank sequences. I liked them, but usually when they were over, I was glad to be back to playing as Ratchet. Looks like there's going to be even more instances like that, like the Clank missions where we get to control a very cute robot. Look at him. Oh, I love it. Combat's going to be back. Combat's going to be better than ever. Oh, this was a sequence that they talked about. Sorry. With the robot. After the robot, they talk about arenas. So it looks like arenas are returning. We're going to be able to climb our way to the top, hopefully get more bolts. They were a great way to really stack money. If you were trying to get bolts, you were short on bolts. It was a really great way to acquire some. So I hope that they bring those back with new incentives, because I'm definitely up to do the combat. The combat's just great. Flying sequences, we've done flying sequences in the past, specifically Ratchet and Clank 2016 is the most recent one where we did see a glimpse of flying sequences. We had about 2 or 3, I think, but it looks like this one's more interesting as we'll be flying with dragons. I mean, you really want to hype the crowd. You bring in the dragons. Like, this is a genius play by Insomniac to make it more like, I feel like I'm in freaking Game of Thrones or something. Like, I was hyped about that. But then we move on from there. We see gold bolts are returning. I know y'all love the gold bolts. They were typically used, for anyone that doesn't know, for, cosmetics. You could, you find enough gold bolts and they pretty much just unlock like little cheats and things, extra stuff, music, videos, figures, stuff like that. So I'm excited to see those return. Those were always fun to look for. And then the pocket dimensions, as you can see, the pocket dimension that they list down below is optional. So the areas, they're going to be areas that you don't have to do. I'm sure you'll probably have to do the first one as part of the story, but I'm sure after that you don't have to do them, which is really cool. And you see in the back, you can see the floating blimp is a nod to a previous character that we have seen in the previous Ratchet and Clank games. And I'm really excited to see this character come back. I cannot remember his name off the top, but he loved comics. He was kind of the nerd, the scientist, but he still brought a lot of life, and I really loved him. But that kind of gives me a little bit of indication that he will be making a return, or at least maybe there's just some sort of nod to him, which I'm all for. This was exciting as well. This was exciting because not only do we have customizable armor, or not customizable, but there's going to be varying armor pieces that we can get, which we already knew about from the pre-order bonuses. There were going to be armor that we could get, but I did not realize it was going to be to this detail. Looks like the raritanium is also, or not raritanium, but it looks like there's going to be collection bonuses where we get complete sets and they give us bonuses. Damage from pirates reduced, melee damage increase, raritanium earned increase. And this is sick. It makes me think that there's going to be a lot more exploration because there's going to be a lot more to look for. I'm sure that some of these sets will be able to buy maybe, but I have high hopes that we're going to be finding some of these pieces in hopes to get the complete sets so that we can get these bonuses. That brings just a slight RPG element that I really dig. Also, if you look up to the top, you can see that we have collectibles. There's going to be, weapons tab, gadgets tab, gallery. There's going to be some good stuff here for us to really sink our teeth into. And look at this, guys. Look at this. The armor is going to be sick. Full, like the customization that we'll be able to experience with finding armor sets. I don't even think you have to equip them all in the same set. I would assume that there's options for mixing and matching. At least we don't see any. We definitely don't see any, but I would assume these are all complete sets, but I wonder if they're just keeping it close to the chest. They're not giving too much away. But we'll see. We'll see in time. Also see photo mode coming in. Photo mode's going to be great for my artists out there who like to really dive into creating, epic cinematic, images. Look at that. Look at the detail. You can even add items here too, different poses. That's going to be sick. Fully customizable display settings, accurate, accessibility, toggles, assist, gameplay, visuals, really good stuff. Insomniac's always been good about, catering to a very large audience of gamers out there. We all deserve to to experience the game in the way that is best, comfortable, and most suitable for us. So I'm really excited that they're going to be bringing that in to the game. This gives a little bit of insight or a little bit of a clue into returning areas. They already mentioned Sargasso and some of the other areas will be making a return. So I'm really excited. There's going to be some nostalgia there. Grind rails are back. The rifts are going to be a big part of the game. There is so much here. There's so much that this game is going to offer. And there's been a lot of questions about, is this game worth $70? Is Returnal, is some of these other games that are coming out and probably will be coming out for PlayStation, are they going to be worth $70? It's yet to be determined. I can't say for sure, but based on what I see and my excitement for Ratchet and Clank and what they're doing and the quality that some of these developers are putting into these games that are going to be coming out this year, next year, whenever, it has me thinking it might be worth it. I can't speak for every game, but I can speak for this one. I definitely think it's worth $70. I'm excited for what they're doing. That's pretty much everything. We went through a deep dive. I'm sure there's stuff I still missed, but that's the beautiful thing. There's so much for us to look forward to even now after we've seen gameplay, we've seen trailers. There's still so much for us to look forward to in the coming weeks when Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart finally releases. But holy smokes, guys, so much to look forward to. Let me know down in the comments below. What are you most excited for? What is something that you saw that maybe I missed? What's something that you saw that you're very excited about? I would love to discuss with you all. It's just an exciting time. It's a great time to be a gamer, and together we play. That's what this channel is all about. I love being able to share in these experiences with you all. But that's all for me. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, be sure to drop a like on this video. It greatly helps out the channel. Let me know down in the comments below what you think, what you're most excited about, what's something that you noticed that really stuck out to you. And until next time, guys, I hope you're safe. I hope you're doing well. And remember, games are better when we experience them together. I'll see you next time.